Hey everyone, welcome back to Automation. So it's December, and December means Christmas, and I like Christmas, so the next couple of videos are going to be all Christmas themed, because yes, we're kind of counting it down until the 24th, which will be the last video of the Christmassy season, and then after that one more to cap off the year. So for this one, I'm going to be attempting to enter the current automation, like official automation Discord contest where they're uploading Christmas-themed vehicles. I'm going to make my own. It's going to be based off of the classic red Christmas tree truck. You see it everywhere. I'm a big fan of the aesthetic, so let's try and make one for ourselves. The body that I'm going for is this one. It's a classic, I guess, 40s Ford from the looks of things. Yeah, those of you who know older cars better are definitely going to know more about these than I do. To be honest, I don't know very much about this sort of era of vehicles. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck in the 2000s. That being said, I've set the game to 1946, which is the earliest that we can go, so let's just make something that's relatively reasonable for 1946. I don't know exactly how this is going to go. It's definitely going to be leafs, and probably leafs on the front as well. This build is a lot more about the aesthetics than it is about the way that it drives, but I'm hoping to take some cool pictures in BeamNG as well with it on some snow-covered peaks, so we may as well give it an inline 6. Pushrod inline 6, of course. 3 liters actually sounds pretty good, and the 8686 it means it's a square engine, but it's an interesting combo, so let's just go for that stuff. Cast iron crank, cast, and none. Yeah, this is very, very basic. I can tell you right now this RPM limit is going to have to go down. Naturally aspirated is our only option. Turbo is not present in 1946, at least in this game. And for once in my life, I'm forced to use a carburetor. Let's go for a 2-barrel carb, just because that's kind of fun. Single carb, and just like a standard low intake, maybe compact. That's probably more realistic. What would be really realistic is the single barrel, but I do want to get a little bit of power, so we're gonna go 2-barrel. Say they throw on an upgraded carb. Let's do some of that period correct leaded fuel. Basically 92 is probably good enough. This thing is not going to make that much power. Onto the exhaust compact cast. Yeah, oh my goodness. That'll do it. And then mufflers, I guess we probably need something, but only on the secondary. Yeah, you can see that the rev range is not particularly high. Our crank can only go up to 3100 RPM. That is not great. With harmonic dampeners, we can get a little bit higher, but it's still way too high. Valve float is killing us. And the reliability of the engine suffers at anything above 5700, so that's what we're dropping down to right here. I'm going to give the AI a chance to tune this for power to see what happens. Very basic engine, so the tune should be pretty simple. 81 horsepower. Oh no, okay, 94 horsepower. That's actually not bad. That's pretty much exactly where I want it to be. 100 horsepower, decent amount of torque out of a 3-liter inline 6. Like, that's probably good enough, right? The AI is not perfect. We can probably get our 100 horsepower. 96.4. That's pretty good for a large size manifold. And obviously upping the carburetor size is going to give us a little bit more power as well. Basically making these as big as they can be. Advance the timing on this old girl, and yeah, I guess we could do higher compression. It's probably not a great idea. There we go, 102, and I'm going to call it there. There's a lot more power left in this engine. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say a lot, but there is more power left in here. I'm leaving something on the table. We'll give it a little bit of overdrive. 5200 RPM, 100 horsepower. Pretty good. Okay, so for the actual truck, I want to try and make it thinner, although I don't think that's possible with this specific body, but I don't know, it just feels a little bit too wide. The actual Christmas tree itself is going to be the hardest part of this. I have to make something that looks reasonable compared to the rest of the car, and that's probably going to be the tough part. I can very easily make a very cartoony looking tree, like just blocks basically, but making something that looks good and realistic-ish is going to be a challenge. So paint, it's going to be red because I think that that's just the color that these things have to be. It has to be red. Okay, a couple more changes just to make it realistic-ish. We've gone red with chrome window accents, little chrome stuff around the back. It's nice. I like the look of it. This part here was black before, it's red now, and the underbody is also black, although, yeah, it's, I don't know, it would just be dirt. Wheels, I think, okay, we're gonna have to go period correct wheels too, so let's do something like this picture here. It's gonna be red wheels. Something like this, but of course the wheels, like the rims themselves are gonna be different, so yeah, I'll work with that. Alright, time to get to the design. This is the part that is probably the most difficult, but also the most rewarding if I can come up with something that looks good. That is always the major caveat. Will it look good? Well, that's up to me right now. I'm actually going to skip a little bit through this, but yeah, these are the wheels that I've chosen. I think they look pretty much perfect for this kind of build. They're in the 50s and 60s tab, so it's fairly close to where we're supposed to be. Now this is tricky. We're going to go rear wheel drive manual 3-speed. That means this boy is 3 on the tree. It could also be 4-wheel drive, but I don't know. I just want to make it like this, so that's the way I'm doing it. 139 kilometers an hour, open diffs, nothing crazy. Now the tires are really important to our aesthetic here, so I'm going cross-ply, chunky off-road, and they're the biggest that they can be. 185, oh no. Yeah, these sort of military-esque tires are pretty much perfect for this, and I'm super happy that we have that option. 14-inch rims, a little bit of offset on the back, but other than that, she's sitting pretty. I think it's a little too high, so I'm gonna fix that. But other than that, looks good. So this is as low as it'll go with leaf springs on, unfortunately, but it's not that big a deal. I'm liking the aesthetic, but I might just lower it a little bit manually by going in here. Yeah, we can just lower the ride height by -5-ish, something like that, and then yeah, that's perfect. This truck is exceptionally light. It's only 1,149 kilos. That's quite a lot lighter than even the previous build of mine, which was meant to be light. So yeah, old cars, no safety, and this is what you get. Okay, so this truck is meant to be a looker, and so far I haven't done much. It has an exhaust. That's pretty much it. I got the engine to appear in there, so it's looking decent. There is a bit of a bug with the game where you have to hide and then unhide the engine in here to actually make it visible, but I'm going to go ahead and do some of the stuff that I want to do. That being, we need door handles. That's kind of important. Just the things that I tend to forget. Let's do a fuel cap, sort of an old style one, sticking out the side back here, because back in these days, the gas tank was behind the seat. That is sketchy as heck, but it actually is true. I mean, when you're bundled with the gas tank in the crumple zone, it's it just is sketchy. But then also, let's be real, these vehicles didn't even have crumple zones. It was literally like, you get hit, the car is extremely solid, so the force just travels all the way through there, and then you die. Okay, those of you who love old cars, I'm just joking. I know people like to rag on them for being terribly unsafe, and that isn't always the case, but let's be honest with ourselves, the design back in the day was not really about safety. So I'm going to design this more based on a sort of mid-50s Ford instead of a 40s one, just because I like this aesthetic better. It might not be perfect for this body, but I think it's kind of cool, so that's what I'm going to go with. Okay, I've got something. I don't hate it. It's not amazing. The lights are, maybe now I've made them a little bit too big. Let's go back in time twice, there you go. But it looks okay. I think it is a serviceable front end, if nothing else. Obviously, I'm not quite done yet. We need bumpers. And then once this whole truck design is sort of finished, it's going to be onto the tree, which will be the fun and also hard part, because I have a few surprises for it. Found the closest thing to a Ford badge that I could. I think that's going to work perfectly. There comes a point in every build where I'm just kind of rapidly searching around trying to find the things that I'm missing. We're sort of at that stage at the moment. There's some stuff that I don't think I'm going to be able to get, like having some kind of tie-down straps here. That was before the like usual bed stuff that we have these days, so they literally just tied them closed. Or it was closed with pins is probably more accurate. But I'm just out here hunting for parts and trying to find the stuff that I need to finish this off. You can see up above that some things have changed, definitely for the better. I've basically finished off the rear end. What I'm attempting to find now is right here, classic sliders, because I feel like these will look good in the bed. So that's honestly the whole reason that I picked them out. Look at that. Yes, that definitely adds a nice little bit of detail that these were definitely missing. Beautiful. Okay, so the truck itself is actually finished. I think that's everything that I want to do for the truck part. I know there's a Ferrari badge on it. I was intending to change that, but I actually kind of think it's like Ferrari red. It looks good in its own right. It looks decent. It does say, well, there's multiple ways to pronounce this now that I've made up this word. It's fjord, or Ford, one of the three. The only thing this thing is missing is some solid patina, but today is not the day for that. Today is the day for the Christmas tree. Now, I'll admit, I have been afraid of this. Okay, so classically the tree kind of goes in the back down here and then up, resting on the top of the truck as it, well, gets driven down the road or whatever. It's usually just in a picturesque scene. So in order to make this work, first of all, we're going to check to see if there's any trees in here because, I don't know, there might be. Okay, so the answer was no to that question, which means I'm going to have to make something myself. Let's hope there's a straight one of these. Oh, thankfully there is. So I don't actually need this thing to extend the entire way, but I need to make it so that it actually... Well, I'm gonna use it to extend the entire way anyways, and we can shrink it afterwards, just because what I want to do is try to make the tree, like, semi-realistically proportioned. Wow, it's way off. There we go, something like that, perhaps. Maybe a little bit more angle, a little bit more upward movement, just to give the tip of it a little bit of space, but that seems reasonable. Okay, so remember when I said I wasn't going to do a cartoon tree shape? I am going to do a cartoon tree shape because I think that's the best way to do this. The other alternatives are painstaking and yeah, it's just not worth the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it using cones. Would you look at that? We have a new material, painted iron, which I'm going to attempt to paint brown. Hello? Where's the rust? Being able to place stuff three-dimensionally is what really makes this like actually possible. And also, hopefully, getting things to line up decently with this is also going to make it possible. That's not terrible. And there you go, we have a tree. Although I'm just noticing now that this is not coming out of the actual bottom of it at all. Oh my goodness, I'm such a failure now. The only thing that would make this better is if we could put the tailgate down, but we can't. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the size of these sort of exponentially, I guess. I don't know. They're just going to slowly get smaller as we go up here. Yeah, you know what? I don't hate it. It's definitely cartoony, but it looks pretty reasonable. And it definitely fits the aesthetic, I guess, that I'm going for. Weird, but it should be good. Now the paint itself, I haven't done anything with, but we can go into the custom area here. It's wrinkle paint, which means we can do texture offsets, including giving it some weird texture. Increasing the bumpiness even more makes it strange, but at least it looks less flat, I guess. Yeah, I think it looks sufficiently cartoony. I also replaced the Ferrari badge, by the way. I figured this looks a little bit better. But here's the exciting part. Something I haven't done yet is I haven't tuned the lights in this. So these are going to be brake lights. These will be tail lights. That's good enough for me there. And then on the front we have headlights and headlights. So what I want to do is decorate the tree. This is going to be tricky and I don't exactly know if it's going to work, but I want to give it a shot. So basically what I need is sort of a droopy looking light of some kind, or something that can be turned into a light. Pause for a minute while I find that. I think I might have found what I'm looking for. These are called classic bulbs. I'm just going to shrink them quite a bit. They do sink into stuff, which is not quite what I need, but I think I can use these to get like a period correct thing going. They're supposed to be LED, so yeah. Now here's the hard part, I guess. We need to pick a type of light for it. Maybe running light? Potentially tail lights, actually. There we go. So that's one light on the tree. If I push that back in a little bit, then yeah, we have a light. It's a little bit small. I'm going to make that a touch bigger. But I think that'll work. The only way to find out is to go to the visibility of things. We need to turn on the headlights, the tail lights, and yes, they do light up. Perfect. Oh, it actually looks really good. I can adjust the brightness. I'm just gonna say 50%. And yeah, we now have functional-ish Christmas tree lights. Now the color of this is going to be an interesting thing because I could potentially make it white as well and it'll still glow, or I can make it yellow and it'll still glow. So we have 3 possible colors, at least here, but there can be more. There we go. Now we have a purple glow, although it's a little bit awkward. It is totally possible to make whatever kind of glow we want. This glow is not going to work in BeamNG, but it doesn't need to. We can just make some weird lights and I don't know, see where this goes. It's going to take me a while, but let me decorate the tree. All right, the Christmas tree is lit. I won't lie, that took about 15 minutes, but it was definitely worth it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do this stuff. It takes a lot of time because everything needs to be relined up. Basically every single one of these has to be clipped into this because it's not actually part of the body, whereas if you put a light on the body it'll automatically go to it. But yeah, it's good. It's all pink for now. I just noticed that I didn't put any on the bottom though. Let me fix that. So yeah, the lights are all pink currently, but I can change them whenever I want. Literally all I gotta do is go to this color, pick something new, and probably reselect it for all of them because it's totally broken. Oh, there it is, blue. Pretty darn cool though. I really like how this turned out. Bright orange. Okay. One more. Turquoise. Oh. Okay, I'm running out of creative ideas here. But yeah, the tree is decorated. The truck is done-ish. I'm not gonna have these be turquoise. I think I'm gonna go with something else, but I'll do that in a bit. Yeah, it's looking good. It actually looks really good, especially with the tree in the back. I'm very pleased with this, and I'm very interested to know what you think of it as well. Does this live up to the Christmas name? Okay, so pretty much everything is finished in terms of the design stuff, and now it's time that I finish the drivetrain because it's important that the thing actually moves, although it's more important in BeamNG than anything, and ultimately, yeah, it doesn't particularly matter. 119.5 kilometers an hour top speed. That is pretty weak, but that's good enough. Tires and stuff, I don't particularly care about any of this. Like, it literally just has to be a decent driving vehicle, and then I'm good. As long as it drives, which it looks like it does, we're good. Brakes, I'm going to increase the size of those, because otherwise it's going to have brake issues more than likely. No off-road stuff, we don't need it. None of this stuff, basically just the absolute most basic things we can put on there. It is complaining quite heavily about the choice of steering, which is funny, but I don't know, I think overall it's kind of fine. And yeah, with that, our Fjord Christmas special truck is ready to go. Let's take a quick look at it in the photo scene because it's going to look much better there than it will in BeamNG.drive. Let me find a snow one. Oh my goodness, the snow level does not work. There's a lot wrong with it. It looks cool. I mean, the truck looks great in it, but yeah, there's something wrong with this level. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but a lot of the photo scenes just hate me today. No worries though. I just want to see the thing with the lights on, please. Headlights, tail lights, and yeah, that's it. Yeah, it looks kind of muted, but it is good to see that the pink actually does exist on there. Yeah, Christmas truck ready for BeamNG. So this is what it looks like in BeamNG. We have the mystical square that keeps everything level. That's what that random thing is that you see fairly often there. It's flickering and whatever. This is a snow map that I've decided to come to. Let me actually check before we get too far what it's called so that you know. Mammoth Valley 1.3, that's where we are. But we got the old girl here, 3-liter inline 6 ready to rip, 100 horses of pure muscle, but I've realized that I made a pretty dumb mistake. I made it so the tree doesn't actually touch the top of the truck, which means that it's literally just floating there. just ignore that. I know it's taking away from your sense of immersion, but yeah, just ignore it. Truck sounds pretty good. I mean, it sounds kind of what you would expect. It really stands out in this environment, though, with the snow on the ground and the redness of the truck and the absence of trees. There are literally no trees anywhere. I think it's kind of obvious that we cut them all down. This is one of those rare occasions where we can actually very easily reach our top speed. I'm hitting 120 kilometers an hour, and it actually feels like there's more to give. Problem being gearing. The truck is definitely not geared for anything more than that. The game said it would do like 119, so I'm surprised to see it do 127. Yeah, we can change the gearing, but this is actually fast enough. It's not really meant to be fast. And especially around here, we got two-wheel drive, we got icy slopes. Probably best that we don't go too fast. But yeah, this truck, absolute ripper. I'm really happy with the way that this build turned out. It's definitely not amazing. It has flaws, but it's better than I thought it was going to be when I was picturing it. Major credit to my wife for coming up with this idea. My idea is next week, and it's not anywhere near as good. By the way, I completely forgot to give it an interior, and I still need to take the pictures and stuff to send it into the automation challenge, so you'll see it there eventually. It'll be there before the due date, hopefully, if I remember. But I'm going to add a couple extra touches. But yeah, going for a cruise at maximum RPM, maximum speed, in this winter map is actually quite a bit of fun, and I don't know if this is the end up here, but I'm going to take a swift right turn and see what happens. Going down into second, we're gear braking now. But that just seems to be a tunnel to the nether, so I'm going down into the snow, boys. This is where we rip. Okay, third gear, unnecessary. I didn't adjust the spacing at all. I probably should have. You know what? It's actually not terrible when you got a bit of momentum. This snow, I mean, I don't think BeamNG does snow quite properly. It's basically just mud. Our tree didn't fall out there, so that's a good sign. Oh yeah. This is its natural habitat. Looks great, actually. But you can see that this is basically mud, like there's mud flying in the air instead of snow. So it's as if we're driving through deep mud. And with that considered, I think we have a pretty decent thing going. This map is nice and empty, but this is also the empty version of it. You can pick different variants that have more going on, but I figured we'd just run amok here and bounce around and see what happens. Old trucks are fun that way. I have like 10 million project ideas, but one of them is that I'd love to modernize an old truck like this. Back a long time ago, I used to follow a bunch of people that are doing Crown Victoria chassis swaps with like older trucks, and that inspired me. I was like, yes, I want to do this one day, but now I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe a modern truck chassis and keep it truck-like instead of car-like. Although Crown Victoria, yeah, I mean, it is very truck-like in its own way. That kind of swap only works when the base car that you're swapping it onto is cheap and not completely rusted away, and unfortunately those two things do not quite align here in Ontario where I live. Things are either absolutely rusted and cheap or pristine and expensive. There is no in between. Yeah, complete lack of four-wheel drive, and I'm really not missing it at all around these little dunes and stuff that we're jumping over. Soft suspension, thin tires with a chunky off-road tires, in fact. We're bouncing around, but we got enough power, like short wheelbase. It's pretty decent off-road. Gotta admit, I'm loving the red. These days, I don't know what it is. I mean, my entire channel theme is red, so I guess that makes a little bit of sense, but I really love red. My truck is red, my wife's car is red, everything is red. As we pull up back to the house from taking the one last tree in this entire biome, I figure we may as well cap it off here today. Once we get back to the house, that's going to be it. But I hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments, if this is something that you like. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate it, and I'm thankful for every one of you this year. The channel has grown considerably, and I hope to see it grow more. Be sure to check out my website if you're interested in supporting me by buying a Buco sticker. They're still on that crazy sale. Basically, I'm giving them away for $2.50 US each. but you have to buy 2. So I'm doubling orders basically is what I'm doing. So you buy 1, you get 2. You buy 2, you get 4. You buy 6, you get 12. Yeah, the list goes on. But I've enjoyed this one quite a bit, guys. Hopefully you did too. I will see you again next time for another idea, another bit of creativity. And yeah, make sure to check out the game. I believe Automation just came out with the alpha in the normal branch. It is a massive update, so if you haven't got into Automation for a while, you're definitely going to want to check that out. I'm not sponsored by them, I'm just kind of a little bit diehard about the game. Buy the game. I'll see you again next week. Okay, you know we got to do a trademark crash. That's just how it works here. Ooh, yeah, 40 safety, not great.